Hey, what's up everyone? My name is CollegeSportsREVIVED and I appreciate you clicking on my video today. I welcome you back to the College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series featuring Coach Carter and the Fordham Rams, episode number 24. The previous installment of this series featured a first-time occurrence. We were victorious in a season opener for the first time in this series, defeating the Southern Jaguars in the opening round of our preseason tournament to open year 3. However, this win was not even nearly as easy as expected. The Jags, they did a great job spreading out their attack, and we're still working in a lot of new faces on the rotation, so they had it tied up and thinking upset with 12 seconds left to go. But the upset-hungry Jaguars decided to go to the red-hot shooting guard Jaquel Joins, who was blocked not once but twice, with the latter of the two being freshman Bennett Pinkala sending them back, saving the game at that point. Fordham called timeout with 2 seconds left to set up one last heave as we cut to the live commentary. These upset-hungry Jaguars. So we put in our guards to try to have a little bit of speed, maybe a half-court heave here with 2 seconds left as Murphy gets the running start. He'll heave one, he gets it off in time as Murphy hits it and sends home Fordham with the win 65-62. Oh my goodness. Preston Murphy pulls from 40 feet and hits it in the face of Jaquel Joins to put Fordham over the top and survive the upset. The Rams with a collective sigh of relief as a 1 in a million shots hits the back iron. What a finish to Season 3's opening game. Murphy only made 1 3 in 4 attempts, and it just so happens that it's the 40-foot heave to make him the hero. But this game may have raised some eyebrows though. Southern is a team that we should beat by more than just a buzzer beater, as 4-star freshman Kai Hendry shot 1 for 5 in his highly anticipated debut and was actually benched for Dustin Black in crunch time. There were some positives, like Swanson starting his senior year with 24 and 7, or Evangelo Higgins posting 13 huge points, quieting the doubters after missing most of his junior year with that broken ankle. All in all, a 2-point differential is not exactly what we were hoping for, but we'll just hope that it was a fluke as we rematch the Nebraska Cornhuskers in round 2 of our preseason tournament. Nebraska themselves had some trouble in the first round, only getting by Loyola Marymount by 5 points as we faced them for the second time in as many seasons. Back in year 2, as we head to our second flashback today, we met up with the Cornhuskers in the same round of the tournament with the same prize on the line, a chance at the semifinals, and we pieced together arguably the best second half performance we've seen in this series, scoring 42 points as a team in the second half to run away with the game. The Rams saw 4 double-digit scores, including Murphy, Higgins, and Swanson, who all returned for their senior year, but it won't be as easy this time around. Nebraska isn't a star-studded team, but they definitely have a better roster this year. They definitely have more experience, and a lot of their impact players are now upperclassmen and have an extra year with playing with each other since the last time we saw them. And with the way we struggled against Southern, you saw just how important that experience or lack of experience can be. Darian Reeves was averaging 20 a game when we played them last year. Peter Ramelli is now a senior, really polished. Nice jump shot, who's near 7 feet tall, and 6'4" Chris Ragland is their new point guard. Nebraska hurt us last year with their height in the backcourt, and our way to combat that is giving Dustin Black the start over Kai Hendry here in Game 2. Hendry really struggled in his college debut, as Southern actually was starting a 6'7" point forward at the point guard spot, and his length got to Hendry a little bit. So Dustin Black, the 6'4" point guard, will let it rip today in the starting lineup, as he will try to build off his 9-point performance off the bench for us in the opening game against Southern. But a quick update on the bracket before we hop into this Nebraska game. A win in the rematch today sends us to the semifinals in New York City, which features the winners of the 3 other regions of our preseason tournament, and our opponent would be interconference rival St. Joe's, who are top 25 hopefuls right now. So the road doesn't get any easier, but a loss today and we are done. So a huge rematch today. We'll see if we can keep surviving and advancing as Peter Ramelli wins the tip-off for the Cornhuskers. And the rematch is underway, everybody. As Nebraska gets on the board, it would be Peter Ramelli with the first points of the rematch, as Fabian Swanson trying to build off of his magical season debut, and that's a great way to get it started. A mismatch underneath, and Swanson backs down Ragland and makes him pay. So how about Swanson, 24 points and 7 rebounds to open up his senior year in that win over Southern. That was an awesome performance, inside and out, jump shooting, finishing, rebounding. He did it all, but now another guy who can do it all on the offensive end. It is 6'11" senior Peter Ramelli, who had a near double-double against us last year and recorded 11 points and 3 blocks in Nebraska's opener against Loyola Marymount. And so that's a quick 2 fouls for Evangelo Higgins, who will stay in since he missed the free throw, but he's got to be very careful on this next defensive possession. Ragland will dump it down low. We should have had the steal and the rebound, but instead it's Ashawn Newton who records the 3-point play, and at fault for the foul is Higgins. That's his 3rd personal in 2 minutes. What rotten luck. We just needed him to stay foul clean for one more possession. But unfortunately, we'll be without Higgins for a good amount of this ball game. So checking in early is Kaya Hendry, who pretty much starts this game regardless. What a pass inside by Ramelli, who has done it all here in the first 4 minutes, including some playmaking. You see him here dumping this one down to Casey Keeler, the big man to big man connection, as Nebraska now up by 8 here early, but we finally force a stop on Ramelli. Outlet from Dustin Black, who already has 3 rebounds, as Hendry is met with a double team, but look at him keeping the feet moving. Hendry wants to turn it around this season, and he gets it to fall. Can't be jumping the gun with this kid. You got to be very patient. There's a reason why he's wearing number 44. It's to celebrate the first 4-star recruit of this series. And he's got a lot of game. We got to stay patient with him. Don't let one game discourage Coach Carter from giving him minutes. As here's a nice little off-ball screen set by Chen Li, as Milos Filipovic also checks in. As it's 4 bench players if you want to count Hendry, getting us back in the game. It's now 16-13 all of a sudden, as these guys are coming together and playing some big minutes. It's Fabrice Gill now off the mark. He's double teamed by Terrell and Chen Li, as Filipovic looks for the secondary break, and it's a beautiful bounce pass to the trailing Chen Li. Filipovic only recorded 1 stat in his debut. He's one of 4 freshmen who made a debut in last episode, and he only had 1 assist, but it was a nice one. It was pretty similar to that on the break and finding his teammate, and now he has another beautiful assist on his freshman year. And if you can share the rock in Coach Carter's offense, you always find a way to get out on the floor. So now it's 23-17 against the zone, as Swanson, who's been a little quiet so far after recording the first bucket for Fordham on the day, he will knock down his 2nd field goal in 6 attempts. Now down by 7 though, as Nebraska continues to hold us off with their free throw shooting. It's Preston Murphy with the kick out. It's Hendry contested, but he knocks another one down. He already has more points in his debut. And this one against a Big 12 defense. Hendry turning some heads here in the first half. Now 28-22, Dustin Black, who had 9 points and 2 assists in the season opener, as he gives it to Preston Murphy, who clears out and double clutches a layup on the baseline. Now our offense is starting to turn it around, 30-24, as Joshua Stapley, the backup point guard for the Cornhuskers, is pounding the rock here, trying to get by Dustin Black. Dumped down inside, but the pass is taken away by Pinkala, and finding my boy Hendry on the break is Dustin Black, who's finding out how to coexist with the 4-star point guard. I think those two could mesh really well moving forward, as we have this down to a 3-point game. We're bouncing a lot here as we block a 3-point shooter, but it's Swanson who's tagged with his 2nd personal foul. This one looks clean to me. The ref's looking right at it, but it's another foul that goes in the direction of Nebraska, and this would actually signify the Cornhuskers being in the double bonus, as you see Preston Murphy here trying to plead Swanson's case to the ref, but just not listening to us. And this is 3 free throws for Kyrie Herndon, another upperclassman, and he would knock down 2 of 3, but then flying in for the offensive board and putback is Casey Keeler, so it's a 4-point swing for the Cornhuskers, and then Dustin Black with a mistake gives it right back to Herndon, who finds the trailer, and Murphy looked like now he has a block shot on the backup point guard Stapley, and this one looked just as clean as Swanson's block. but the ref again thinks otherwise. It's our 11th team foul, and compared to only 3 team fouls on the Cornhuskers, and that's been the main difference in the first half. It's now 38-29. They are close to putting up 10 points in the final 2 minutes, but we get a bailout foul here, perhaps a makeup call by the refs. Only the 4th time that Nebraska's been called for a foul as Hendry knocks down 2 for 2. Gotta feel pretty good though. We have it under 10 with 2 seconds to go. It's Darian Reeves from 40 feet, and he extends it to a 10-point game and becomes the first 10-point scorer on the game. Darian Reeves turns around and knocks one down. And now we get a little bit of a taste of how Southern felt last episode. Oh man, a disastrous end of the half as Nebraska shot 19 free throws to our 4 in the first half. That has been the main difference of the game. I mean, we're rebounding well, we're competing with this tall team, a lot of experience. They're a better team than they were last year, but these free throws, man, part of it's on us not being able to defend without fouling, but part of it is on these refs. These calls gotta go both ways as Pinkala over top of Chris Ragland. Nice job taking advantage of the mismatch. Pinkala with his first basket against these talented bigs on the Cornhuskers roster. 13:26 left to go. We still have it under 10 as Darian Reeves tries to create, make something out of nothing, and now it's Bennett Pinkala. A step too slow in his rotation, but somehow Reeves fought through both Murphy and Dustin Black on the perimeter to get to the rim as he remains perfect on the field on the day. 13 points for Reeves as we have had a problem trying to find an answer to him as he finally misses with that perimeter jumper. Pinkala with his 3rd rebound. A nice outlet pass to Filipovic, but he looks for some assistance. KJ Bigsby not with much of a mid-range jump shot, so we'll reset it. It's Pinkala who's trying to do more work here in the second half, trying to become more involved. The double comes, bounce pass, it's Filipovic for 3. No, he had a foot on the line, but Filipovic hits his 2nd field goal as he's playing a very nice game off the bench, trying to create a role for himself here. The redshirt freshman from overseas, as there we go, we get a stop inside. Pinkala and Corey Terrell sharing the floor and sharing the paint duties, both locking down Ramelli on that one. 62-55 as the crowd gets back into it. Under 5 minutes to play. It's going to be a comeback. The comeback's going to have to start now. Hendry to Higgins to Pinkala, skip pass, it's Murphy. He also wants to turn things around, and he's been doing a great job of that today. Murphy with 15 points, leading the Fordham troops in this comeback attempt. 4:12 left to go, we got it down to 4. 18 seconds left to shoot. Casey Keeler wants the ISO. No, he doesn't. He wants to kick it back out to the 6'4" point guard, Chris Ragland, who is tall, he's built, and he's got a nice 3-point shot. As Hendry seems to forget about it for just a split second as he tries to help out on Peter Ramelli, but unfortunately the closeout's too late as Ragland hits a huge 3. It's now an 8-point Cornhuskers advantage. 2:30 left to go, almost got the steal, but Ragland recovers. 2:24 on the game clock. Ragland bounce pass. Now doubled is Ramelli, but he finds the cutting Ashawn Newton, who kicks it out to Darian Reeves. What an offensive possession by the Cornhuskers to put us away once and for all, man. The comeback attempt looks like it's going to fall short. 72-60, that's a lot of points we gave up to the Cornhuskers today after they barely managed to get over 50 in the last meeting. It's under a minute to go, things looking bleak as Hendry knocks down his 5th 3 of the contest, and Murphy records assist number 5 as he's been passing the ball incredibly well today. Hendry with 22 to lead the troops, but unfortunately we dropped this game by 9, and it was a winnable game in my eyes. Higgins only played 14 minutes due to foul trouble with Dustin Black, Swanson, and Pinkala all struggling, but 2 freshmen off the bench helped us tremendously. How about Kaya Hendry quieting the doubters a little with 22 against a Big 12 team in only his 2nd college game? That's a great way to wash away the memory of your bad debut. And Milos Filipovic played some big minutes as well, with Higgins not being on the court a lot. And that's what bugged me most in this game. Over and over, we couldn't buy a call while Nebraska was at the line over and over themselves. And they shot 20 for 26 from the line as a team. Good for them. They made their free throws, but I'm sorry. When a team shoots 20 more free throws than you, you have a right to question these calls, and the frustration just mounted too much for Fordham tonight. In Season 4 next year, I can definitely see us scheduling out a conference game against Nebraska to determine who wins this series once and for all. How about a best of 3 against the Cornhuskers next year? Well, Nebraska moves on to the semifinals in New York City, and they will face A10 opponent St. Joe's, and the winner of that game will take on either Cincinnati or Tennessee in the College Hoops Classic tournament, and we'll see at the end of the episode where that leads us and who comes out victorious in our preseason tournament. But another winnable game is on the horizon for us. Bethune-Cookman comes to town in our home opener here in Season 3, with the Wildcats starting a familiar baller at point guard, continuing the trend of Fordham and Coach Carter, seeing a lot of familiar players, and teams in this episode. Bethune-Cookman is a team looking for a major turnaround on the offensive end. They've been held to under 40 points in back-to-back games to open their season, including against the Drexel Dragons, who will be playing in a couple weeks at a conference. But this has been a brutal non-conference schedule for the Wildcats. But perhaps after a Drexel meeting and a 5th-ranked Florida team beat them down, they'll be a little bit more battle-tested against us. But this miserable offensive stretch, there has been a player for the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats who has probably been the best and shown the most upside out of any one of these players. Out of Atlanta, it's 6'2" freshman point guard Stevie Mouton, who was this close to committing to Fordham. But after Kai Hendry chose Fordham over Seton Hall, Mouton became pretty obsolete in our team needs, and he decided to go to a school where he could see big minutes from the jump, and Cookman was a great choice for that. Mouton was a 3-star prospect and clocks in at a 69 overall, and some scouts will tell you that that's good enough to be a 4-star. He's definitely someone I wish we had a spot for on the team, but the backcourt is just a little too crowded right now. I'm sure there will be a little personal battle between Kai Hendry and Stevie Mouton all game long, and Hendry steps back into the starting 5 after his 22-point performance against Nebraska, and we just hope that one of these guys between Hendry and Dustin Black separate themselves from the other one. So it's time to find out if Cookman is going to roll over like they did against Florida and Drexel. They actually have some time to figure things out on the offensive end, so we'll see how they do today, as here's their top scorer on the year. It's Eric Powers, who isolates and then gives it right to Kai Hendry, and on the first play out of the jump, it's Kai Hendry jumping up and putting one down on top of Stevie Mouton. That's a way to make a statement. Battling a guy that, knows he wanted your spot. I mean, that's a big game for both these guys. Mouton and my boy Kai Hendry, 2 guys with chips on their shoulders, trying to prove who's the better point guard and who's the better prospect coming in. And right now, it's Mouton not only proving that, but proving that Bethune-Cookman is coming to play today. Higgins for 3, as we desperately needed that one, as that was a bit of a heat check. Tough shot, but it goes, and we desperately needed that one to finally get back in this game. It was an 11-4 Cookman run to open things up, but Fabian Swanson, nice facilitating here. He gives it to Evangelo Higgins, who looks to turn things around after only playing 14 minutes in that Nebraska game. Man, he spent a lot of time on the bench, 3 personal fouls in that first half, but he's already getting close to outscoring himself from that game. Higgins gives himself 7 points, 7 out of the first 12 belong to Evangelo. So we're back in front as we grab a steal off the press, and Fabian Swanson with back-to-back 3-point plays coming our way as we open things up a little bit for a moment, but then Cookman right back into it. 19-18 game, the Rams with a slim lead as the bench unit checks in. Evangelo Higgins the only starter out on the floor as Cookman goes back to his zone. It's Higgins, pump fake, crossover, takes on 2 Cookman Wildcats and still comes out on top. How about the pump fake to get past the big man, and then a crossover to leave the backup point guard in a daze. And then he pulls up with that silky smooth jump shot with the touch from about 9 feet out. Beautiful take there by Higgins. So now Preston Murphy checking back in as we're up by 5 and looking to separate ourselves finally from the upset-hungry Wildcats. But this one is thrown off the rim by Chen Li and a turnover that you'd see on Shackton a Fool. And this marks our 5th turnover of the first half at this point. And that's for what sliders I play on and for the settings that I play on. That's a lot in one half. Normally you see a team turn it over 5 or 6 times in a full game on these settings as they knock down yet another 3. This is Tyrese Hobson as the Wildcats continue to share the ball well, 25-22. Again, we are having trouble getting rid of a team that really does not belong, as this is a nice pass to Binkala, who makes the extra fine to Preston Murphy. You got to do a better job sharing the ball against this zone. This is not a great defensive team. They have some good individual defenders like Mouton or their big man Jonathan Wofford inside, but overall, this is a zone that we got to exploit. As Murphy gets the pump fake up in the air and gets a man up in the air, but to no avail as Hendry open for 3. Not the same success today, but it's Binkala on the glass. Gives it back to Higgins. 3rd attempt, no good, but it's Binkala who cleans it up for his 4th offensive rebound and 4th point on the game to give us a 5-point advantage heading into the locker room. But once again, Fordham just not showing up against a very inferior opponent. This is a team that scored 39 against Drexel, 32 against Florida, and they're already close to eclipsing that in this game. And it's not like they're having a great day on offense. They're shooting under 40% against our defense, but right now we're just not hitting our shots from downtown like we normally do, and we're turning the ball over way more than we have all season long to this point. As Satila Rivera from 3, that's off the mark to begin the second half. That would have tied things up. Pretty crazy. We're talking about that with 11 minutes to go in the game. Murphy, now the team falls to 1 for 5 from 3, but Fabian Swanson finally shows up in this one. 7 points, but again, he's not shooting a great percentage to this point, but that basket does get him back up to half his shots made. Took him a while, though, to get going, but we close down the paint on this possession. Eric Powers off the mark. He came into this game as a top scorer, but only on 6 for 17 shooting on this season. Kai Hendry now gives it up to Chen Li as the Bethune Cookman zone totally forgets about the 6'7" forward out of China. The sophomore with a thunderous jam to hopefully get us going. And it looks like we're going in the right path. I mean, this is now a 8-point game, which is the most it's been since early on in the first half, as Kaya Hendry attacks Stevie Mouton at the top of the key. He'll take it away and then finish with his offhand. And how about some credit to Corey Terrell there as well, providing some help with the double team. And it looks like we're starting to finally pull away. It took us like 35 minutes, or rather 25 minutes to pull away, but it looks like that's what's in store for us as Mouton is sent back by Bennett Binkala for his 2nd block. He's had a really good game in this one. Murphy caps it off with a nice double clutch finish. He's had some great finishes today here in episode number 24. So now under 3 minutes to play. We're still keeping them at arm's length. Won't be the most convincing win you'll ever see, but it's one that will most likely be a win regardless. Swanson off the mark as we've been continuously pitiful from 3, but Bennett Binkala, he has his eyes zoomed in on a double-double today. 8 points and now 9 rebounds to go along with it, and that would be his final box score to go along with 2 blocks. So Bennett Binkala with a big impact performance today, and only his 3rd start as Dustin Black with a nice little stop and go crossover move. And we're seeing the backups in for a couple possessions here. And we'll see if some of these reserve guys can get on the box score. And I have to admit, I was very impressed with the bench 5 and their defensive hunger right here. It's Dustin Black getting a block, and he's fighting on the floor with Mouton for the loose ball. And then we swarm over and stop a jump shot from mid-range. Very impressed with the bench there, as KJ Bigsby and Milos Filipovic were a little out of control there. As Filipovic actually tried the 3, bad shot, but I mean, hey, we're just trying to get up a shot here, trying to get these bench guys involved, as Rondell Dunnington, the walk-on freshman, forces up a layup, and then Filipovic gives up the 3-point play. Things getting a little too crazy there at the end. I think we should just wrap it up here. 62-51 is your final to end off episode number 24 on a high note. Evangelo Higgins, nice bounce back as he is your player of the game for the second time this season. Off the catch, off the bounce, inside and out, crashing the glass, Evangelo showed off the entire arsenal tonight, finishing second among all players in points and rebounds. Take away the Nebraska game where he barely played due to foul trouble, it's hard to not be impressed with Higgins as a senior so far. Swanson is still looking to recreate his magic from 24 points on opening night. He kind of struggled again, while the freshman Pinkala had easily the best game of his career, nearly tallying a double-double in only his third career game. Corey Terrell was also very effective in the second half, seeing the floor over Swanson for a while there, which is pretty surprising. The Henry and Mouton matchup was pretty intense. Kaya only shot 3 for 9, but passed the ball really well and forced Mouton into 5 turnovers on the game. It was actually Eric Powers who had the big night for the Wildcats, as Preston Murphy again didn't have a great game on the defensive end. 18 points allowed and 4 assists for Eric Powers to lead Bethune Cookman. So that'll be it for episode number 24 today. We split the games, 1 win, 1 loss. And it was a win where we kind of played up to our ability for only a half, and then the loss was a winnable game where unfortunately they shot 20 more free throws than us. But we came into the episode hoping we could find out a definitive answer on where this team was at, and I'm not really sure if today made it any more clear. I mean, it's clear to see at least that these guys need some more time together before truly assessing where we're at as a team. But I think with these fresh faces, we just need more time to marinate. But we're gonna have to find out these answers soon. With road games at Virginia, Loyola Chicago, and Rutgers coming next episode, the Cavaliers were receiving top 25 votes entering this season. But with 2 early losses, including once again our conference rivals, the Richmond Spiders who beat them, they're dealing with some adversity right now, including missing their top player, a 7-footer out due to injury, and you can see it's taking a toll on the Cavaliers early on in this season. By the way, St. Joe's ended up blowing out Nebraska and then lost to Tennessee in the preseason tournament championship. So yeah, I wish I just didn't bother looking at that final score with the way they just took it to Nebraska, 84-36. Definitely tough on the psyche, but let's not worry about that. Let's not be worried about that. I think we'll do just fine in our big games next episode. I think we could definitely keep up with Rutgers. It's a road game, and Rutgers had one of the best players in the country graduate last year. But without him, they're only around an 81 or an 82 overall. I forget. I'm going to have to check next episode. But we're going to see if we can keep one of these games close against UVA or the Scarlet Knights. We all know how important these games are for recruiting against these power conference opponents. Speaking of which, a recruiting update will be coming in the next video as well. So some big matchups and a recruiting update to go along with it. Sounds like episode 25 could be a crazy one, and I'll hopefully see you guys there. My name is CollegeSportsREVIVED, and I hope you enjoyed episode number 24 of the College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series featuring the Fordham Rams and Coach Carter as we try to figure out where the Season 3 roster is really at right now, skill-wise. Stay tuned for more content, guys. I'll see you then in the next episodes. Have a great night. Stay tuned for more. Peace out, everybody.